there, welcome to the Silverbird Selection video. It's pretty grim out there at the moment. The weather's been terrible for the last week or so. It's dark at 4:30 in the afternoon now, hence why I've got the lights on already, lighting up my face a bit strangely. And of course we're about to start another lockdown here in the UK, which is no doubt depressing a lot of you. So I'm going to try and cheer you up a little bit over the next few weeks with more game reviews. Speaking of which, this time around, the two games that were up for voting by you guys, actually we got a tie for the first time with the same number of votes each, so I had to defer to Lemon 64 and choose the one that had the highest rating on there. And the winner was International Speedway. The other game, by the way, was Stunt Bike Simulator. That'll have to wait for another time. So International Speedway was released in 1988 in the Silverbird packaging. Very common game to find on eBay. My copy cost me £1.55. You can get it for a couple of quid easily. So let's take a look at International Speedway and see what kind of game it turns out to be. Okay then, here we have the front cover of the game. Pretty bland stuff, to be honest. You've got the pink and black stripes packaging. International Speedway, the International is written in a nice bit of colourful text and the Speedway bit isn't. And you've basically just got some bikes in some mud on the front there, so nothing to write home about there. There's the spine with the same logo on. Back cover's got 4 screenshots as always for this packaging. Pretty dark, can't make a lot out on them, but it's clearly some bikes on a track at the top and an oval sort of overhead view of the track at the bottom of the screen. Some kind of menu system as well, and description of the game says bite the dust, it's win or bust, which is a bit strange because bite the dust to me means die, so a bit of a strange thing to use there, but there you go. That's the cover. Inside we can see this is the sort of second wave Silverbird packaging because we've got the screenshots of other Silverbird titles. This time we can see Combat Crazy, Star Strike 2, Anti-Riad and Rebel Star 2. And then inside we can see International Speedway's copyright probe software. It's got a blurb about the game which is basically saying that you're a speedway rider that's been on the streets and you're starting to make your way up through the local, national and ultimately continental leagues to win the world championship. And you've got some load instructions. And finally the gameplay instructions, joystick import 2, you can enter your name, nationality, etc. And the first race is imaginary, which I will get onto in due course. Then you press 5 to start the next one, and basically you just got to race because that's what you've got to do in a speedway game, obviously. So it tells you that you've got also at the bottom there, it says you can push forward on the joystick to give you a burst of extra speed per race which lasts for a little while. Use it wisely to get you out of any scrapes. Pretty simplistic instructions there in a generally pretty average bit of packaging. So as you can see, the game is loading, and as you might have expected by now for the Silverbird range, they've not made a lot of effort with the loading screen. It's just some text saying now loading International Speedway with the copyright information there. So yeah, very poor again. So here you can see the title screen as the game's loaded. Pretty nicely done. You've got the checkerboard effect in the background. 2 speedway riders contesting over a trophy there with the logo at the top. And a menu system with a few options. You've got different skill levels to be selected with the function keys, practice mode, and also the option to start. And you can also see the credits for the game there. Probe Software 1988, written by Kevin Green with graphics by Stephen Murray. I'm going to stick with novice level because frankly there's no point going any higher for the purposes of this demonstration of the game. So let's get on with starting the game. And as it said in the instructions, you get to enter your name, so I'll do that. Also nationality, we'll just go with UK, keep it simple. And continent, for example Europe, well, let's put that in as well. And what it does then is, you're basically in a pool with 5 people contesting these speedway competitions. And because, as you'll see in a minute, you can only have 4 players on the screen at once, it's done in a sort of round robin thing where 4 of the 5 can compete in each of the rounds. So the first round's always done automatically and you don't participate in it. You can see there the standings after the first race. You've got Jim Baker at the top there, Steve Ryder, Max Walker, and then myself and poor Phil Chapman, who's already competed in one race but got no points. So from there you then see the lineup for the next race on the left hand side there. You can see there's me, Phil, Jim and Max, and then when I press fire again it will go and start the game. And it does this strange sort of loading screen stuff with all the swirly sort of colours, and then you get the game starting. And I'm the guy in the blue on the left. As you can see, I've raced against 4 people. You've got the 3D representation of the track at the top, and then a 2D overhead view at the bottom, and also some information on how many laps you've got to do and things like that. To control the bike, it's just left and right to steer, fire to accelerate, which is something I'm a fan of, I do like that. And then also you've got the opportunity to do a one-off speed boost to try and get in front of everyone. Which I did. It didn't do very well there. I think I finished last, in fact I did. Let's see if I can improve in other races. I didn't get off to a very good start, then I crashed. And basically what I found with playing this game is if you crash at any point you're pretty much certain not to finish first. So there you go, there's the results after 2 races now, and I'm rock bottom. So let's see if we can improve that again with this weird sort of loading screen stuff going on just before it starts the game. I don't know what that's all about. So I think I've got off to a slightly better start this time, as long as I don't crash into anyone. Now the trick is to not oversteer on the corners. You just kind of tap it to keep moving around the corners without holding down the directional controls left and right for too long. So rather than get around this corner, I'm going to activate my speed boost. That should get me far enough ahead to now win this round. Although I've got a bit of an uphill struggle because I lost the first race. When the border goes red, that's when the race is effectively over. You do sort of do half a lap after that, but I don't think that actually counts to the final rankings. So there you go, things are looking a bit better after 3 rounds. I'm now in the middle, and another round, should, if I can win again, should get me up to 2nd place hopefully, depending on how Max Walker does in this round, I guess. So you can do a false start if you start driving before the 3 green lights light up in the top right corner. You can see the position that you start in changes each time, so I'm in trouble again here now because I've fallen behind everyone by crashing into them, and again. So I'm miles behind. I've got no chance of placing in this race, I don't think, which means my continued performance in the game is not going to, well, continue, to be honest. Yeah, I'm just absolutely miles behind. I mean, I look quite close to them, but the problem with the game primarily is it's really hard to catch up. You only have 3 laps, so you make a mistake at any point and you pretty much fall behind straight away. So yeah, it's not going to go very well here. I'm going to end up crashing out. The idea is if you finish top, you then progress to the next stage, which is a higher ranking competition. You go from I think it's local, then national, then continental or something like that. Again, really hard to catch up with them once you've crashed into somebody, and that's been an absolute disaster really. So what I think I'll do is I'll play again. You don't need to see me play too many more rounds of that, but I'm going to try and qualify for the next stage, the international qualifying or whatever it is, and see how I get on basically. Okay, so I've played through 3 of the 4 races that I compete in again in the qualifying round, and I'm now finished top in all 3, so I've got a nice lead. I've got 9 points in the status. The nearest rider behind me has only got 4, so actually I don't think anyone can overtake me if my maths is right. So I'm just going to play the final race, and that will then get me into the next round. So while I'm trundling around the track again here, let's just talk about the graphics. They're pretty basic. I mean, all the sprites for the motorcycle riders are identical except for one colour change. The track, it's quite nicely animated. You know, there's a reasonable sort of illusion of speed created, and yeah, so it's not horrendous, but there's nothing to write home about. And the bit at the bottom with the oval is kind of pointless really, because everyone knows what a speedway track looks like anyway. It's not like you're getting any kind of insight into what's coming up next. It's always a left-hand curve, so a bit unnecessary. As you can see, I won that race and finished top again, so I finished nicely with the maximum 12 points in the league, which as you can see means I won. And you can see me on the little podium there in first place, and that means I get to progress to the next stage, which is the UK Championships. Once again, the first race is done automatically without you participating. Let's move on to the second one. It does get a little bit more tricky from this point. Not much different really. It's pretty much, if you can get past everyone else and get ahead, you should win the race really. It's just a little bit more difficult because I think they go a bit faster pretty much. But if you can get on the inside of them, going around this corner here, then you should end up in front of them. There we go. But you can see they're a little bit faster. They do tend to catch you up a little bit more, even though it doesn't seem to be possible for you to do that with them. They almost got ahead of me there. There is a bit of a knack, I think, to actually staying in front of them as you go around the bend so they can't come past you. But again, I've won that first round. So let's move quickly on to the next round. There's not really much more to say about the game. You've seen everything there is to see. It's just about how far you can progress through it. So let's see what happens. Oh, full start for me there. There's lots of little graphic illustrations in the bottom right hand side there. There's a helmet, there's your hand on a grip, there's all the lap counter, and there's like a speed thing as well, which you can see goes up when you do the speed boost like I've just done. None of them really mean anything though. It's a bit odd that the bulk of the game takes place in a little sort of window at the top of the screen, and the rest of it's fairly superfluous. Sound wise, you've literally just got some motorbike engine noise and a bit of crashing. Let's see how I did there. I think I might have finished second last. Yes, I did. So at least I got a point. So I'm not in the lead now. I'm probably not going to win this, to be honest, but let's carry on and play through the other two rounds, and then we can sum this fairly simplistic game up. So I managed to get in the lead just going into the third lap, so hopefully I should win the 3 points for this one. Yeah, that was nice. Managed to do that okay. Where does that leave me with one race to go? Top, but with two other players with 6 points, so I really need to win this to have a chance of progressing, win this final race. To be honest, I'm not really that bothered if I do progress, because there's not much else to say about the game or to see. But let's see what happens. Oh, this is not looking good now. I've used my boost too soon, I think. Unless I can sneak round on the inside on this final curve, I don't think I'm going to make it. I might not finish last place. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I finished second. Oh, so I've well, sort of won. It's a draw. I'm not sure what happens now. Several riders have tied for the championship winner. In their wisdom, the organisers decided to rerun the competition. Well, I guess that means I'm playing through it again, but I don't really think you need to see that. Perhaps I'll see how I get on and just show the last race. So I'm on my last race here, and at the moment I'm joint top with 6 points with someone who's not even competing in this round, I think. and the other 3 are all on 4 points, so pretty much anyone could win this. And at the moment it's not going to be me, unless I can catch up on one of these straight areas. No, I don't think I'm going to make it. I've messed it up right from the start there. I'm not even going to get close enough to them to even compete here. But I'm not too bothered about it, to be perfectly honest. So there you go, finished dead last, and that means that Tony Collins wins. I came second along with Ronnie King and Chris Morris, and Kenny Majors, or Magors, whatever that says, came last with 5 points. So there you go. The result of that is that it says your riding skills require some polishing if you're to become the world's #1. Practice makes perfect. And then you end up back at the title screen. So with that, let's go to the review scores, because there's really nothing else to say about the game. So packaging, I'm going to go with 6 out of 10. I thought it was pretty average packaging, nothing special. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great either. Presentation, I think, is pretty nice. You've got several game options, the title screen's nicely done, you've got the ability to put your name in and stuff like that, so that's all good. Information about what's going on each round of the competition as well, all very nicely done. So 7 out of 10 for the presentation. Graphics, as I said, are pretty bland. They do the job. You do get an illusion of speed to some extent, but it's really not that great, so I'm going to go with 5 out of 10 for the graphics. The fact it's all played in a little box in the top left corner of the screen is slightly strange as well. Sound, again, is okay. The music on the title screen here is pretty nice. It's pretty short tune, but it's not horrendous. And in game you've just got some driving noises basically, and a few clattering noises if you crash into one of the other bikes. So I'm going to go with 5 out of 10 as well for the sound. And finally, playability. I mean, it's playable in as much as it's a driving type game. The control of the bike is reasonably good, but it's just boring. It's drive around in a circle for 3 laps and hope you finish first. There's not really a lot of skill involved in my playing through it. I haven't noticed a great deal of skill. It's basically, as long as you don't crash into anything, you get to the front, you should win, and otherwise you've got no chance, so it's not really particularly fair. I think if you'd got more laps to try and get back into the race, it would be a better game, but the fact they've limited it to 3 laps per round is just a little bit poor. It's pretty much over before it's even started, so for that reason I'm just going to give it a playability score of 4 out of 10. That gives an overall score of 5.6, and for me, I would say this wasn't worth $1.99. It's okay, I guess if you like motorbikes and Speedway in particular, then you might get some joy out of it, but for me, I was pretty much bored with it within 2 or 3 plays, and there's not really much incentive to progress further through the game. So there you go, that's my thoughts on International Speedway. Fairly short and sweet review for a change, I think. Let me know what you think about the game in the comments if you've ever played it, or whether you want to play it now I've shown you what it's like. Let me know, and that's it for this review. Okay, that's another review done and dusted. Let's move on to the usual thing now of you choosing another game for me to play in a future video. As always, 2 games for you to vote for, and the choices are 2 games beginning with C, and the reason I'm choosing games beginning with the letter C is simply because there seems to be loads of them in this range of Silverbird and Silver Range titles. So here are your 2 choices. It's either Code Hunter or Collapse. 2 Silver Range titles. Having done a couple of Silverbird ones in the last couple of reviews, I thought we'd do something with some nicer packaging, so there you go. Code Hunter or Collapse. Let me know in the comments which one of those 2 you prefer me to play. I'll play it in a future video. That's all for this time around. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.